Hello everyone, welcome to the course on Kafka Connect for beginners. If you are a beginner in Kafka, things become very challenging to learn sometimes. But in this video, we will explain everything in a very simple manner, and at the end of this video, you will have a clear picture of how to get started with your project. So let's move to the agenda of this video. We will start with what is Kafka Connect, how Kafka Connect works, how can you scale up and scale down Kafka Connect. We will also learn what are the transformations that are allowed in Kafka Connect. And finally, we will have a look at the architecture of Kafka Connect. We will also make a video on how to get started with Kafka Connect from scratch, but that's the scope of a next video. So here is the first question. What is Kafka Connect? To learn Kafka Connect, you have to look at Kafka first of all. So why Kafka came into picture? Kafka was originally designed by LinkedIn to solve the data integration problem, where you will be having many source system and many target systems that are interacting with each other. If you look at this diagram here, it looks very complicated. The data is flowing from many source systems to many target systems, right? The point is very straightforward. You cannot design a single application that does everything in an enterprise because that's practically impossible and also non-economical. So what do you have in a typical enterprise? So you will be having so many independent systems that are running in parallel. You can say that as a microservices. There will be a third party systems, there will be a middle layer, or there will be a backend system. All these systems are interacting with each other and they are individual units, right? Some of your systems might be designed and developed by your organization and running in-house. Others may be third party system or application might be running outside your organization boundaries and maintained by a partner or service provider. You don't have direct access to their system and data may be available on demand. For example, let's suppose that your invoicing system is a third party system and the finance system is what your organization has developed. So this finance will be requiring the data from the invoicing system. Similarly, these all systems will be interconnected. The analytics will be requiring data from maybe all of your systems, right? So your system will get on increasing and at some point of time it will be very impossible job to maintain these all the pipelines. So this is where your Kafka comes into picture. Have a look at this example here. Let's assume that we have an invoicing application that is connecting to a backend database. Now we have a requirement to move this data from this database to a Snowflake data warehouse. What do? We look for many options in the market and we finally agree for a Kafka cluster that will be very good for this purpose. So your Kafka cluster will collect the data from the source system and push it to the target system, right? And bringing this data will be a one-time activity. Once you have the data in the Kafka cluster, you can easily move it to Snowflake data warehouse. If you want to move the same data to other applications, you can very well go ahead and push it to your other systems, right? Now let's assume that we don't have this Kafka cluster into picture. So how your data flow will look like? It will look like this. You will have to build one to many pipelines. And I'm sure your invoicing application will not be able to handle that much of load due to each of connections. So till now, we know that we are going to go only with the option of Kafka cluster. But how do you bring the data from this invoicing system to the Kafka cluster? Do you want to create a producer? Let's try and evaluate that option. There are two ways in which you can create a producer depending on the source code availability of the source system. If you own and have the source code of your invoicing system, you can directly write a producer code in the invoicing system and send the data directly to a Kafka cluster. It is practically possible and very straightforward, right? Let's have a look at the second scenario where you do not have the access to this invoicing system and you are getting the data on demand. So how do you do that? How do you transfer the data from this invoicing system to the Kafka cluster in that case? Well, you can create your own producer that will take the data from this invoicing system and then send it to Kafka cluster. Both the options are good. You can evaluate and go with the best option that suits your business. But if we are going to settle with the second option here, then you are going to solve a problem that is already solved for you. Yes, you are right. That's where Kafka Connect comes into picture. So Kafka Connect is a system that is placed between your source system and your Kafka cluster. You do not have to write a single line of code. Everything is already done and made available to you. You just configure and run the Kafka Connect and it will do the job for you. Looks good, right? But we are not done yet. We also have to bring this data from this Kafka cluster to a Snowflake data warehouse. So we will need to place a Kafka Connect here as well. So the left side of the Kafka Connect is called Kafka Connect Source Connector, and the right side of Kafka Connect is called Kafka Connect Sync Connector. If you see the internal working of Kafka Connect Source Connector, you can see that it contains embedded producer code inside producer API. We'll see that later. Similarly, Sync Connector will be having the internal implementation of consumer API, and that's what Kafka Connect is. It is a component of Kafka for connecting and moving the data in Kafka from any external system. And there are two ways we can do that. We can do that using a source connector, and we can write the data using sync connector. And together they support a bunch of systems that offer you out of the box data integration capability without writing a single line of code. Now, the question comes in here, how does it work? How does it provide out of the box capability for source connector and sync connector? I mean to say how it is possible. We see in the real world we have different type of data storage. For example, we have relational database, IoT hubs, Teradata, Salesforce, Twitter, Reddit, and we have so many storage systems like file system, cloud storage, Hadoop storage, Elasticsearch, Cassandra, MongoDB. Reading and writing the data to these systems have different mechanism and consideration. How is it even possible for a Kafka Connect to do all that without writing a single line of code? Well, it is possible if somebody has already written for you. Let me explain it. Kafka Connect developers made a smart decision and create a brand new framework for implementing Kafka Connect, and they named it Kafka Connect Framework. Now, this connector framework allows you to write connectors, and these connectors are implemented in two flavors: source connector and sync connector. Kafka Connect framework takes care of all the heavy lifting, scalability, fault tolerance, error handling, and bunch of other things. As a connector developer, all you need to do is to implement two Java classes, source connector and sync connector. And the second one is source task and sync task. There are more details to it, but that's at very high level. Your connector is developed and tested. You can package it as a jar or zip archive, share it with others, and you will be able to use it. Assume that you want to transfer the data from a RDBMS to a Snowflake data warehouse. All you need to do is to use appropriate source connector and sync connector. In this example, we have RDBMS, so we will use JDBC connector. If we were having XML data here, we would have used XML connector. Similarly, on the left hand side, we are pushing the data to Snowflake data warehouse. So we have to choose a appropriate connector, and that is Snowflake connector. That is already available on the website of Kafka Connect. You can just go and download, install that in your system, and then your job will be done. Now the question comes, can we scale the Kafka system? Let's have a look. If we have to scale a Kafka cluster, we have to add more brokers to it, right? Similarly, if we want to scale the consumers, we add more consumers to the consumer group. And similarly, we will add more producer APIs for scaling the producer. So what about Kafka Connect? How do we scale it? Well, that's a very straightforward. Kafka Connect is itself a cluster. Each indivisible unit in the Connect cluster is called Connect worker. On the left hand side scenario, you can see a bunch of source tasks running to share the workload. For example, one task may be pulling the data from one table of the database. The other task may be pulling data from other databases. Similarly, on the right hand side, we can have a bunch of sync tasks that is running in parallel to share the workload. So there is nothing to worry about scalability because it is very well supported with the Kafka Connect framework. The next question comes in, do we need to create a two cluster, one for source and one for sync? We should not do that. You can launch the Kafka Connect where your Kafka cluster is already established. You can run your source connector and sync connector on the same cluster. If your cluster is full, you can add more workers to scale it up, and you can do all of this dynamically without stopping the cluster. Now the next question comes in that does it only copies the data or does it perform any transformation on the data? So initially Kafka Connect was designed to perform a plain copy, which means that just take the data whatever the state it is and just push it to Kafka cluster. But later on they modified it and they allowed single message transformation. That means that for every message that is coming from this system to this Kafka cluster, you can perform any transformation. And this transformation may be adding new field to your records using static data or metadata. You can filter or rename any fields, mask some field using null values, change record key, route the record to different Kafka topic. In the real life scenario, these SMTs are not good enough to perform real life validation and transformation. Now let's look at how is the Kafka architecture designed. To learn the Kafka architecture, you have to learn about three different things: the worker, the connector, and the task. You have already learned that Kafka Connect is itself a cluster and it has one or more workers. So assume that you have started a Kafka Connect cluster with three workers. These workers are fault tolerant and self-managed, and they use a group ID to form a cluster. This group ID is same as consumer groups. All you need to do is to start workers with the same group ID and they will join hands to form a Kafka cluster. These workers are the main workhorses of Kafka Connect. That means they work like a container process and they will be responsible for starting and running connector and the task. What do you mean by the fault tolerant and the self-managed? That means that if one of your worker goes down, your other workers will be aware about it and they will take the task that was performed by this worker and they will distribute between themselves. And if they identify that there is a new worker that is added to this group, they will share their workload with the new worker. So in a nutshell, this will give you reliability, high availability, scalability, and load balancing. Let's assume that we want to copy the data from a relational database. So I will download JDBC source connector and install it in the cluster. The installation is to make sure that the jar and its dependencies are available to the workers. And the next thing that we have to do is to configure the connector. This connection configuration will be done by the person who is handling this process, and he will be responsible for giving those configuration details in a configuration file. And this can be your database connection details, the source table list, the polling frequency, or the maximum number of tasks that has to be run in parallel. So all these configurations will be going into a file and you will start the connector using command line tool. Kafka Connect also offers you REST APIs. So you can begin the connector using REST APIs instead of command line. So I hope the things are clear to you. In the next video, we will perform some real life data transfer from one system to other system. And that's it for this video. If you have any questions, you can post your questions in the comment section, and you are also welcome to provide your feedback into the comment section. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, I request you to please subscribe and support us. And that's all. Thank you.